on and lead, as someone mentioned during their public comment. So no further comment on this. Let's move ahead, and this will be coming back for a full-fledged discussion sometime in the future, very soon. Okay, we've got a couple items of routine business before we have a timed item at 11 a.m. So, to the CEO's office, do we have a legislative or fiscal report?
No legislative report. Paul Kaler is on vacation this week.
Okay. And how about CEO report?
Not at this time. However, we do have Steve Duncliffe that's going to give a board a report in his activities. If you give me just a couple minutes, I'll send an email and ask him to come over.
Okay, and that would be under the housing economic development issues?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. To County Council, do you have any report?
Nothing to report out of closed session.
Okay. Let's take up...
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. My glasses interfere in my vision. Supervisor Delbar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for the CEO on the...
I didn't call your name? No. I'm sorry. Okay. Supervisor?
Go ahead.
Okay. To the rest of the board, I mistakenly overlooked a member that had submitted a speaker card. If you'd be so kind to allow me to recognize her. Debbie Vincent, please. My sincere apologies.
I think it's really important that you all hear what I have to say. I'm Debbie Vincent. I'm a resident and homeowner of Red Valley. I also am speaking on behalf of my mother and sister, which they are property owners too, out in Red Valley. We have lived out there for many, many years, and I grew up here. And also, I've been in construction for over 22 years, and I worked in certified hazmat. And I can tell you from the hazmat aspect of this, that the diesel dumping into the ground is very, very dangerous, plus all the chemicals and stuff that they're using. Marijuana is also combined in with the meth labs. One in hand turns with the other, because I've cleaned up the sites. I know that they are growing, and they're cooking crank and cooking hash. And it's really, really bad for Mendocino County. They say that there is no problems with growing marijuana, but there is. And these are effects that are going to stay with Mendocino County for 20 plus years. It doesn't dissipate out of the ground when they're putting these chemicals into the ground, like diesel. And I have personally seen at Red Valley gas station them coming in and filling up gas cans, which they take and dump into their illegal tanks. It's not necessarily the people that are delivering the gas and diesel to them. It's them themselves getting diesel in whatever containers and hauling it out to their site and dumping it all over the ground while they're dumping it into their containers with leaks. So I really think that we need to change our laws and add these diesel laws, you know, for the containers, and to stop them from growing these plants. Plus, the smell is a nuisance. I can tell you that it makes me personally sick from the smell of my neighbors growing, and I am surrounded by it. And I have had more problems with the marijuana growers coming in on our property and planting their dang dope plants in our creek. And I have to go rip them out because they're so small of a plant that the sheriff's office doesn't have time to come and pull them for me. And that makes me sick when I handle it. And I think it's wrong. And so I hope and pray that you change the laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vincent, and I apologize for having overlooked your speaker card.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to the item before us, to the CEO.
Thank you for...
Jeez, I keep doing it. I'm sorry. Supervisor Delbar.
Having a hard time this morning, Mr.
Yeah, I am.
I've asked the
Glasses.
CEO, in terms of the legislative report, to find out the status of AB 2921, which is Assemblymember Laird, and is proposing to make some changes to the Williamson Act. RCRC sent out a memo on it. I'm not sure what the timing is and how quickly that's moving to determine what, if any, action this board should take in either reviewing it or referring it to a committee. So I have asked the CEO to take a look at that, and hopefully we'll have that response here at some point. I think that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Delmer. Okay, now to the CEO.
Thank you.
Item 6C, please.
I think most of the board members have had an opportunity to meet Steve Duncliffe, who's working in our office. He's been engaged with a number of different housing activities and meetings with the city and regarding housing, RCHDC, CDC, and a number of economic development issues. So we just thought we'd take the opportunity, since we had a little time, to reintroduce Steve to you, and he's got a short presentation talking about some of his activities over the last 60 days. Steve?
Thank you. Steve Duncliffe. I've met all of you at this point. I submitted a report that's sort of outlining my activities over the since June 2nd. I haven't really prepared a report per se, but I'd love to field any questions, assuming that you've had a chance to look at the report. If you haven't, I can sort of go over and hit highlights for you. The main areas of activity I've been involved with have been CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant Program, trying to make sure that we remain in compliance with that and take advantage of any opportunities for funding. Housing, affordable housing issues that have been coming before the county. Economic development, I've been trying to make sure that we're involved with as many groups as we need to be and represented in meetings. And then the redevelopment agency. I've recently attended a training on effective agency administration, and am looking forward to submitting our 5-year implementation plan for the board to consider in the near future, and which will sort of outline a game plan for us to really try to maximize that as a tool as well in the near future. So, does anybody have any questions?
Supervisor Pinches?
Just, first of all, I appreciate this report, and for a new guy on the block, it seems like you're extremely busy. You've got a lot of stuff. One thing I'd like to bring, it's just a line item in here, talk about the assistance of Agwood Mill here in Ukiah. Mm-hmm. It's come down to basically Agwood is our only mill that has the potential anymore to mill Douglas fir, which is a major species. So any assistance that we can do to help that company stay in business through these tough times is extremely important, not just to the work